Okay. All
Sweet.
right. So, so everybody that's watching, uh, this is, I think, a very special, it's very special recording for me because I get to interview one of my best friends, and he has been my best friend since childhood, uh, which I feel like is very rare. It's almost just as rare as those relationships that people have with uh, like high school loves, for example. Like that, I feel like those are like very rare relationships to come across, and uh, so I thought it'd be awesome to kind of just ask my best friend, like, uh, how are we doing it? How did we stay friends for so long? And like, because I mean, we've been through like the ringer,
Uh-huh.
individually, together. We've experienced so many things, and it's like every time we connect with each other, it's like everything is all good. Nothing's changed, and yet everything's changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, a big part of it is I think we do love each other. Um, like I think a big part of the building of it was the church, honestly, which is church hasn't been a huge part of my life anymore. However, the congregation and, like the Pathfinder campouts and all the activities we always did together as a kid, like we were always together every weekend, and we knew we had that, and we just became excited to see each other. We helped each other get through the boring times and the good times and the hard times and all that together. Um, that was a big building thing for us, I think. Um, and also, we would always get together after church and just spend the night at each other's house, and it was a big building block for us, I think, starting out.
yeah, I think it. I was thinking about this the other day. There's that element of like nothing is strange in terms of like when I meet your family member, it feels like it's my family member too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's that but there is a like a line, but it's not as distinct.
Hmm.
Like when I ask you about like Corbin, I'm like, how's Corbin? Because like I want to know. I genuinely want to know how Corbin is doing and what
Hmm.
he's doing because I also have so many fond memories of him.
Yeah, yeah,
And you asked me the same thing about my own sibling,
yeah,
and it's just like it's almost like a big family kind of element that got
yeah.
introduced.
I love it. Like Corbin's funny. I mean, that guy, the stuff he says is also off the wall. Um, but same thing here, Demetria, I've always, cared very strongly, and it was another growing up together thing. Like I view both of you all as family, and your mom, and I feel like she's my mom. Like, whatever I would ask her, she would help me with or do. And yeah, I think it was very inclusive from the beginning, you know, and we definitely just built off of that. We had the generic high school relationships and the middle school relationship, but a big part of it for me is the childhood stuff. That's really what got it going for me. And, with you and Brian and all of them, it's just been like we've just known each other forever. We've watched each other change. So the changes don't really matter because it's just like, oh, that's just Javier, or oh, that's just Brian, or, you know, that's just how they are, and whatever. It makes sense. And yeah. So the hard times don't hit us hard because we've had such a long time together, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's interesting that like when you're like, oh, the changes that don't matter, and yet for a lot of people, it's like it becomes almost like a sin to change.
Mm,
Like, oh, that's like you're not who I thought you were, or
yeah.
something crazy like that. But like to me, this is the part that's always like unexplainable. It's like when I'm with you, I'm like, God, we've changed so much. And
Yeah.
then at the same time, it's like, I'm not like, oh, Collin, I wish, you were like this back in the day or something.
Well, more into the same interest today, even like you've gotten so many different interests, and same with me. And like, I just love hearing about it. You know what you've learned in your interest, and what I've learned in mine, and I think it helps us both grow.
Mm, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Because what is it? Somebody recently told me, they're like, hey man, I'm not really like into your channel, but because I'm
Mhm.
your friend, like I just watch it to support you. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
and and but I thought that was an interesting element because I feel like, like when you were telling me about your stocks and stuff.
hmm
Like personally, I could care less about stocks, right?
I get
But but it
it.
but there is a distinct difference between uh, stocks and then Collin telling me about stocks,
hmm
and because like that's the element that is really intriguing because it's like it tells me about your day, your experience, um, and like your frustrations, right? Like the money you
hmm
could have made, and like
hmm
the changes that could have happened if you had made this money. So it's like even though I could care less about stocks, it's still a very important element of like I can't just look at it like just stocks. I have to look at it like this is Collin telling me a part of himself uh, that he's trying to express to me. And
Yeah.
so I think that's like I feel like that's not easily grasped with everybody. Like they're like, well, I don't want to go to this store because I don't like it.
Yes.
Somebody's making me go to it, but it's like I feel like it should be looked at differently because it's more like, well, Collin likes it, so my interest is more like I'm trying to discover what makes Collin so interested in that, and what drives him there, and then I am actually learning about you when you're telling me stuff about stocks,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, same with your interest in, I mean, philosophy, how it's really blown up, like for me it's like, okay, well, this is obviously impacting Javier a lot, and I want to get to know why and what it is, and
Hmm.
it's more of like it's a pretty selfish friendship, we just want to know about each other because we love each other and care about each other, and the growing like individual growth, like what's he up to? How is he changed, like you said? And just, yeah, I want to always know what you're up to.
Yeah, you
I
know,
don't, it's hard to describe and hard to comprehend, but it's like a sibling, like you're saying, family.
but what I also realized is that there isn't really much jealousy in the relationship. Like,
hmm
um, like I remember distinctly one time. I think one time I never told you this, so this is going to be a big confession.
Ooh.
uh, there was one time I did for the first time start getting like hints of jealousy.
hmm
But this was like, oh my god, it was such a long time ago. It was like when I think you and Mike got really close. I think not
Borba.
Michael Borba, but
Mm.
Mike Smith. I think.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
um, but it was funny because it was that moment of realization for me where I was like, I think this is when I actually realized the beautiful part of our relationship was just like what I liked about it, and this is what basically shattered the whole like jealousy moment for me was there is we cultivate together. We cultivate like a no pressure relationship. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like it's a very like inviting, like I would like you to be here, but if you're not here, I'm not gonna like give you crap. You know what
Scold
I
you
mean?
over it.
I'm not gonna like mull over you not being at my wedding or something crazy. Like, I'm gonna invite you to all the important events in my life, and if you show up, you show up. If you don't show up, like, I'm not gonna like hold such a grudge against anything like that.
Right.
And I feel like that was a very important element for me.
Yeah, I think it's because we both understand that if we can be there, we will be there almost, like especially now with you and the forces and stuff, it's like can't expect you to be there for everything, just like you couldn't expect me to be there when I was in Oregon. And there's different points of our lives where we both had to make those kind of sacrifices, kind of,
Yeah.
for events, birthdays, whatever it may be. And yeah, they're important to us. And like, yeah, it sucks sometimes when you don't have all your friends there, but it is what it is. Everybody has their own things going on. You got to be understanding about it. And yeah.
Yeah. It it like struck me about when I would see you, I'd be like, typically with most people, I'm like
Mhm.
very paranoid about, oh, this friendship could end one day, right?
Mhm.
But with you, like, I still don't know if this is a good or a bad feeling, but it was just like, I was like, it's never gonna end. Like, the friendship is never gonna end. Like, I just knew
There's
immediately,
no option.
like, there's no option. This friendship is never
We're
gonna
in it
end.
together till the end. Yeah, I felt like that too. And it's not like anything we really ever discussed. It was just like, even when we had our little spiffs, I was just like, you know what, in time, I'm sure we're going to figure it out. And I'm just going to let him, work his way through his part, and I'll reach out when I can. And yeah, we
Yeah,
always end up working through things. Sometimes we just need some time, to think it through, like the different perspective, because, that's always really hard, putting yourself in others' shoes and what they're going through with different things.
yeah. I think that element I think that is the element that we both have. Like, we're very mindful, and we'll, if something happens, we'll at least take like a moment. We'll take a step back, and we'll be like, did I fuck up? Was it just this situation? You know, was it really me? Was it him? Stuff like that. And then at the same time, I also feel like we perhaps like don't obsess over those questions too much either, because then it can cause us to like remain too much in the past. So
Right.
um, we just kind of do like, it seems like good momentary reflections, and then we just like continue forward as if nothing changed. And I think that's like the part that always surprised me with myself, because every time like I get upset, I'm like, that's it, I ruined it, it's over,
Yeah.
like, it's
Yes.
done. But with you, uh, I never got that inkling at all. Like, I never got that fear. I was just like, I got upset at Colin today. Like, that's it. Like, it was nothing like end of the world, anything. It was just like, yeah, I got mad at him. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I remember like what, like 15-ish. We got in some serious spiffs because we were hanging out all the time, and I guess we were just a little annoyed of each other at the time. And like it seemed like really bad. And normal friendships, I would have been like, oh yeah, this might not work out anymore. But yeah, same thing. Since it's you, and I was just like, we'll get over it. We'll get past it. And yeah, we're really good at dropping things. That's a big thing. You just kind of got to reflect. Was it that important? Did he mean to hurt me? No. Okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah, it's funny because I know the exact event that you're referring to. And it was so funny. Like, looking back, it was so funny because, like, I remember saying something like, I was like, "You're pissing me off," and you're like, "Oh yeah, you're pissing me off."
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny because like that was like the first time we were just like we're like, dude, you are pissing me
We
off.
just yelled that back and forth for like a couple of minutes. And I was at your house too. I don't know. I think you just went to the other room, and I just stayed in the like TV room and hung out for a little bit, and then we just were over it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like we definitely laughed about it afterwards, but like
Yeah.
we were like, I guess we like hung out too much or too long, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that room was hot. The TV room was hot as hell. And I think we were probably playing games and got irritated at the games, and so we just ended up bickering at each other because, that's how those stupid things work out usually.
But that's also a useful element too. When we would play games with each other, we wouldn't uh, like we would never really beat on each other
Hmm.
about like playing a specific game because it seems like when I play a game with you, I'm not like, oh, Collin, like, bro, come on, dude, do better. Like, what are you doing, Collin? Uh,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like we are kind of naturally better at games when we play together, but it seems like if we were to make a mistake, we're not like beating each other up about it, which I
No.
find really helpful and it's really enjoyable because it's like if I suck, I'll be like, hey, bro, like I just want to let you know, like I suck at this game. So,
I think it's because we both call ourselves out. Like if we do bad, we're like, "Oh shit, that was so dumb of me," or something, like whatever it is. And like whenever we do have criticisms, it's like trying to get the person to understand the game or whatever it is better so that they can be better. It's not like just you suck.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Because like, yeah, I mean, just like give an example, right? Like
Taking the time to explain it.
yeah, like when I'm like playing Zenyatta, I'm like, hey, bro, like I'm really crappy with Zenyatta. Can you like what is it that I need to do? And you're like, oh, you just gotta like, always have an orb on your teammate, and then like call him the
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 discords and
Discord out, whatever.
standing behind everybody and
Yeah, yeah. Or like I remember a specific moment. I was playing two up front as
Mhm.
Zenyatta, and you're like Javier. You're like Javier. Uh, you need to you need to go back. You shouldn't be playing like Tank Zenyatta out here. And I'm
You
like, yeah,
shouldn't be the
yeah, you're
frontliner.
right. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't do that. Uh, but I think it's just the way we communicate. Like, uh, what would be typically called a criticism. It's just the way we. I guess we're just like really accepting about it. Like we genuinely want to play well or do well together. So
Mhm.
it's like any criticism is beneficial, right? Like I know
Right.
that if I if I take in the advice that you have given me about a specific game, then we both can enjoy the game better and it's a better experience,
Mhm.
um, rather than a suffering experience. But like for example, but if like I just come across a wall, right? And like
Mhm.
you're just like, okay, he just sucks at the game. Like there's no improvement. Uh, so maybe we'll just play like for fun in terms of like we'll just play like quick play or something, and it's like that's it. It's whatever at that point. So I think
Yeah.
that's useful as well.
Yeah. We find alternatives to keep playing together, but we don't have to play something as serious or even uh crap, I lost it. I got the itis, bro. I had this amazing sub.
Okay. Public sub.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Oh my
First
gosh,
one in like a year.
that's what I miss the most about Florida. The them public subs, man. Like
Yeah.
chicken tenders. That is.
That's where it's at, man. That's
Yeah.
where it's at.
That is. Uh,
Oh, well, something else we do is we often compliment each other, which not a lot of people do, I've noticed. in friendships is like if they're doing good and whatever it is, even as simple as a game, you're like, holy crap, that was amazing, like great job, or wow, dude, what the heck, how'd you do that? Whatever. I think it shows like how genuine it is. Like we're not just bashing each other. We're like the criticism is to help them get better. It's not to beat them down,
Yeah,
each other.
yeah, it's like I noticed that when we play video games, right, we're two different players completely, right? Like I'm always like a very supportive. I have a very support role. I play a very support role in like any video game, right? Like
Hmm.
Brian brought this up. He's like, Javier, you're always the freaking healer, man. Like I think you just love healing, bro. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I do love healing. Like that's what I like doing. I don't like doing damage because I suck. I legit suck at doing damage. Um, and I always like when you're playing damage because I'm like we could get stuff done, dude. We can get stuff done. Like if I support Collin, like we're gonna get stuff done. And I still think that's very symbolic of like our entire relationship in terms of just like when I see you like killing people in a video game and I'm supporting you, I view that as like an extension of myself.
Yeah.
Uh, like I'm like, dang, dude, we're like slaughtering them. I'm not really doing the slaughtering, but it's I'm
If
supporting
you
you.
weren't
Just
keeping me
like,
alive,
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do anything. Because half the time I'm making mistakes of my own, going too far, too aggressive. But also, you really got me into healing, like especially with our WoW days. I remember I was seeing how much healing you were doing, and you were doing like double what other healers were doing, and I was like, oh my God, he's amazing at this. Like, I wonder if I could do anything close to that. And like, yeah, you got me into that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty nice when you're healing too, because I'm like, me and Colin both healing. Like that is ace right there.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, chef's kiss. Yeah, that is chef's kiss right there.
Yeah, man. Our arena days, those were good times.
Oh man. Yeah, I do remember you getting frustrated with me with WoW because you're like, bro. he's like he's like, if you don't get on,
You're talking about the gems and enchantments?
if you don't get on, bro, and heal this raid, because every time you get in, you have the best gear. You are obligated to heal. Like you don't have a choice.
We fed you all your gear. You were like, Javier's a great healer. We're gonna get him all best in slot because he's just gonna carry us through everything. Yeah, dude. So when he wouldn't show up, we'd be like, Javier, you're gonna ruin this for us.
That was rough. I mean, but it does show an element of like obligation
Mhm.
that is still like symbolic of like the friendship. It's like, hey man, like um, there is a degree of showing up. I mean, maybe it didn't have to necessarily pertain to WoW, but there is a degree of showing up within the friendship of like uh, things that matter, and I think it's about it's not necessarily what always matters to me, but it's about knowing what matters to your partner or your friend, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of people talk about like, oh, we need to show up for important events, but here's the thing, right? Maybe an event is not important to me. Like for example, if I'm getting married, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people take that as an important event, but for me, I
Mhm.
might be like, I'm just getting married, bro. Like it's not a big deal. So if someone says like, oh, well, Colin didn't show up to your wedding, okay, like the wedding was whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think it's about knowing exactly what was important to me and what was important to you, right? So like if I know that going to your wedding is really important to you, and I think that's the element that matters. It's really important to you, then there is some kind of like obligation as a friend to try to make it, there, make the effort to get there, and you know, and so
We've
on.
kind of done that unspokenly too, because I mean, yeah, like you definitely will show up to things that you know is important to me, even if it's, you know, a birthday, wedding, whatever, game, you know, going to the movies because I want some friends there, like whatever it may be. Um, you would definitely catch tones and if it's important or not. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
you're
would.
really good at that.
Yeah, I would catch tones about like, okay, probably should be here for this, or at least try to make it, and so on. Uh, but it's still weird because it's like it still has that element of like I still love you anyways. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like there's still that element of like, but if you can't, I still love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
might be upset that you're not here, but I still
It
love.
might hurt for a moment, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's always fascinating to me. Like it reminds me about like Corbin, right? When we
Hmm.
play with Corbin and we're correcting Corbin on something, and Corbin just says, "Hey, if you want to play with me, just know that this is how I am."
I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and you're just gonna have to be okay with it.
And that's what I also love about
Yeah,
Corbin is that he forces me to love him the way he is rather than the way I want him to be.
yeah,
Right? Because like there's no changing Corbin's mind about something.
absolutely not. If he wants to run in through the whole team, he will. If he wants to, you know, dance weird at the bar, he will. He'll do what he wants.
Uh, and I think that that is the space that uh, I think that is one of the important spaces that has sustained our friendship. Like that we always like have with each other. It's like you said, right? Like, oh, when Javier does something, like, oh, that's just Javier, like that's just that's just
Yeah,
what he's gonna do. He's gonna change. He's gonna do random things. He's gonna like when you ask me about why you collecting Pokemon cards, bro, I'm like,
you know, and I can't wrap my head around it, but I'm like, all right, he likes it. It makes him happy. That's cool, man. Show me him. Tell me about him. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, we do it. I mean, we do it all the time without even thinking. It's pretty crazy. And we
mhm,
built that up over time for sure.
mhm.
I guess it's because like we just can't I can't imagine life without Javier, you know? Like he's always there. I can always text him. I can always call him. And yeah, yeah, doesn't matter what all's going on. It's great.
Yeah, that's the element that I can never explain and I can't understand ever. It's that
Hmm.
element of just like I just know that I'm gonna be like 70 years old and I'm still gonna be talking to you. Like I'm still gonna be having a conversation. I don't know what our situations are gonna be, but
Hmm.
I just know that you're gonna be there. Like, and it's not like a demand to be there. I just know that you're gonna be there.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
yeah.
even with you talking about moving to another state, you know, instead of Florida afterwards, like that's obviously not ideal. I would like to hang out with you, but it's okay. And I understand, like, you know, you're doing what you got to do, what you want to do. You're figuring yourself out, what, you know, what makes you happy. And I want you to find that happiness, whatever it
Listen.
may be.
I still remember it was such a funny moment between us because you're like, man, Javier, if you were a girl, I would date you right away. uh, that still cracks me up to this day when I think about it.
Yeah, dude, because we always work through shit. We always have. You were like definitely one of my first friends that like I've had for the longest, that we've just always worked through things. There's never been weird times. Like there was that one time with Michael, right? Um, Not my Michael, but your Michael.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a little weird, but other than that, and that didn't even feel that weird because again, I was just like, you know what? He's just going through a different part of his life right now, and we'll meet up later. Like
Yeah,
you were
like
saying, I never thought that you would not be in my life. I was like, eventually we'll be back to hanging out and talking. And
yeah, it's like the reverse of like a toxic relationship.
yeah, go do your thing. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah. Uh, I mean, I remember when we were going to the same high school, and then you're like, "Nah, bro, I'm going to Lyman." I'm like, "Dude, you're leaving me. Like, you're leaving me, man." And but it's funny because like when I look back at this now, like I feel like normal friendships, they would have been upset. Like the person would
Hmm.
have been upset,
Yeah,
really disappointed. Like, why'd you leave me, bro? Like, we could have just got through this together, da da da. But I remember hearing you, and you just weren't happy at Seminole. Like,
yeah.
you weren't happy with Seminole High School, and I remember I was like, it's really gonna suck letting my best friend go to another school as if I have control over that. But uh, but
You're
I
like,
can tell he's not happy here. So and being in Seminole never bothered me at all. It didn't bother me much, but I know that it really bothered you because you were like, bro, it's just I just don't like the environment. It's just I'd
it
rather go.
stressed me out. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just all the concrete everywhere. The chaos of that school was, I don't know, man. A big part of it for me, I know, was that I wanted to do the electrical engineering program at Lyman
Oh yes.
at the time. So that was my thing. But that's a great point because I do have friends like Borba, for example, like because we didn't end up, well, because I was going to Seminole at first, he was upset. He's like, well, what the heck, dude? We went to middle school together and you're not going to come to the same high school and this and that. And I was just like, well, like I'm just going to the school that I'm going to. And yeah, some people do get upset over those things, but we always just like was like, what's best for Javier? What's best for Colin? We've
Yeah.
always stayed true to that without even really thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the secrets, I think, because we've probably made a lot of decisions in our lives that we could bring up that we'd be like, yeah, bro, maybe that wasn't the best decision, or that was a very interesting moment of uh you know
Lapse of judgment
yeah,
there.
lapse of judgment there. But uh like I remember I talked to you about your previous your last like relationship, like your marriage that you
Hmm.
had before,
Hmm.
and uh you told me like someone had told you that that they knew it wasn't going to work out, that they knew it wasn't
Hmm.
going to work out. And I had expressed to you like I'm very reserved about saying things like that because I feel like um, when it comes to like love or any kind of relationships like that, it's very hard to convince anyone differently of how they already feel about a specific person.
Hmm.
Um, so for me, it was just a matter of just like I prioritized your happiness. I was just like, I don't know this woman as well, but if he's happy, then all to him.
Hmm.
But then there was a degree of faith as well in terms of like I knew that you had the capacity to end it or get through it or know when it was harmful towards yourself. I think that's the best way to explain it. Like,
Dude, say with you in the army. Like I was like at first I was like, what the fuck is he thinking? And but I was like, it's Javier. He'll figure it out. He knows what he's doing. He probably thought about this for, months and months before he made the decision. And no, no, it was a quick judgment.
it was a quick, like, okay, so this is where we're very different, right? Like, you are very, like, you're like, you plan it out step by step, research it, yada, yada, yada. I'm like chaotic, impulsive, like, I'm joining the army today, guys. You're like, why? I'm like,
I'm over here having too much faith. Is that what you're saying?
no, not at all. Because the thing is, like, I don't regret any of my impulsions. I don't regret them, because I'm like very. It seems like I'm very instinctive, but I can't explain why I'm doing what I'm doing.
You always end up doing what's right for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like for me, it's like it's the perfect time to leave the army now because my contract's about to end, and I don't regret it in terms of like how much I've grown and how much I've experienced, and it's just now it's getting to that moment where it's like I'm just ready to leave. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to be a wanderer again. Wander off again. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
You want to be a drifter, a little guy in a van going state to state?
No. I thought about that so much, but no. Just because of the work that goes into that,
Oh yeah.
trying to find a bathroom, trying to find places to shower. Oh my
Oh yeah, dude.
gosh, dude. No, that's miserable. That is miserable.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good point. You kind of just do things, but they always end up working out. I mean, like, I was very confused when you didn't want to do the EMT thing. Like, I wasn't entirely confused because you told me the reasons why, like, the experiences you had and how much they stressed you out and this and that. But I was like, oh man, he's leaving his career. Well, he must be doing it because there's something else he wants to pursue, or, like it just didn't feel right to him. And yeah, I mean, obviously, here you are now, you're figuring it out. And same with the army. Like, I thought it was crazy, but you seem so much more like collected. I don't know even how to put it. Like, I feel like you've just thought about things that you would have never really gotten to think about if you were doing the grind every day. Like you get a lot of thinking time in the army, and it ended up being a good thing for you. And I feel like you liked fitness, and so that somehow worked into it. Um, Not that fitness has ever been your life, but there was one time where you got really swole. I remember your
Yeah.
traps were like 4 inches. I was like, holy fucking shit, dude. That was when you were doing your push-ups every day and shit.
Oh
But
yeah.
I feel like it has like been a good thing for you in the end. You were able to save up. Now you have, the GI Bill, so you can pursue another career that you've been thinking about doing, and yeah.
Yeah.
It's worked out. It's worked
Yeah,
out
you did
well. I
it.
like it.
Like the army was like, as much as I wouldn't stay for 20 years, but it was definitely like a space for me to. I think you put it right. Like it was a space for me to like collect myself. Like I needed a space to collect myself, and the army was perfect because instead of like sweating the things that normal people sweat about, like a steady income, food and all that other stuff. Uh, it gave me that space to collect myself that I wouldn't have normally had in the span of like this 6 years. And because of that, now it's like now to a degree I am like ready to go through that struggle, go through the grind without like falling apart. because I had
Yeah.
time to collect myself.
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of crazy stuff too going on at a bunch of different times back then, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your family and stuff. So I think it was a really good stability for you. And yeah, it might have been subconscious. You subconsciously placed yourself in the perfect place, just like
Mm.
I sometimes do that with my decisions too.
Yeah, like I'm always, it's funny because like I don't half the time like I never question your decisions half the time. Like I'm just like
Hmm.
I have this very strange faith. I'm like Colin knows, like he knows what he's doing. You know, even if like someone's like if someone were to be like if someone were to come up to me and be like, well, does Colin really know what he's doing? Can you explain it? No, I can't explain it. I just have like this degree of faith in him that he's gonna figure it out. Like you told me the other day, right? Like I was getting all worried about what am I gonna do outside the army? Like how am I gonna survive and all this stuff? And you're like, basically you said like, bro, like you'll be fine. Like it's I have faith in your level-headedness. Like
Your ability to get things done.
yeah, your ability to get things done when it matters.
Hmm.
And uh, I was like, yeah, he is right. Like I will get it done. Um,
That's another thing you did subconsciously, man. You positioned yourself perfectly to get like whatever career you want. You can hop right in that now. Through school, obviously, but you
yeah.
got that leg up in school, like we were saying, and having the finances so you don't have to worry about that is huge. And you know, you positioned yourself really well.
Hmm. But then you've also like all your interests have changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I do remember now, like you're like, yeah, dude, I want to be an engineer. I want to do all this stuff. And then there was a period of time where you were interested in computers,
Hmm.
I believe. And I was
I
like,
was doing the programming route for a little while.
yeah, yeah. And that's actually the part I don't know. I don't know too much about like what happened there. Like what were you like? You're like, ah, this doesn't interest me anymore. What happened there?
I really like it and I like creating things, but I don't like working for other people. That's the biggest thing for me that I found out. I don't like working for people. I want to do my own thing. And so like yeah, when I was making, apps and stuff on my own just for fun, it was great and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. But when I started thinking about, oh, I'm going to be literally just like doing things for companies, tweaking little things that they want, and like just sounded monotonous to me. And that's when I started leaning more towards the trades and stuff like I was talking about, because I
Mm,
can kind of do my own thing on my own time. And like it all started out with the engineering because, my dad, and he was like, oh, you need this stable job and this and that. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think that's for me. I don't know. Like it just didn't end up being for me. Yeah, yeah.
it it's funny that we fell into the parent trap.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because my mom literally said the same thing to me before I joined the army. She's like, because I was telling her how frustrated I was about I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and she was just like, why don't you try being a nurse? And I was just like, I've seen your life, mom. It's horrible.
You're stressed all the time.
But to this day, that is the element I don't understand about my mother, is that like, if I were to describe to you my experiences about seeing my mom do 12-hour shifts all the time, working as a nurse, everything like that, it just sounds miserable. And yet, there's a degree of like she still loves her job clearly. um and I guess like that is the element of like I guess if you love something that much, it's obviously worth suffering for, to a degree. And it seems like my mom found that element. And I guess the question changed to, what do I want to suffer for, like that I would enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think
I
that's
always thought for me it was I wanted to make a bunch of money and get nice things, and I kind of just realized I don't care about nice things. That was my big shift later in life.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
I
That's right.
always, that was why the engineering was appealing, and the coding at first was appealing because of the money, and then when I got into it, actually enjoyed it. But then when I started thinking about the careers and what I would actually be doing, I was like, oh, I'd just be working for somebody else doing boring back end shit,
Mm.
and decided it wasn't for me. Um, but I feel like you did the same thing with the nursing and stuff, like at first you were following the guidance and you were like, yeah, it will give me stability, which is what I'm looking for. But then you kind of found out that that's not like you said, the suffering you're wanting to go through. It's not fulfilling to you personally.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
That's
Um,
probably another reason why we get along so well, man. We both just been stumbling through it, figuring things out together.
yeah, I think maybe that's what's like helpful, or maybe that's like what people need to be more honest about, like,
We all have
because not
failures and bad decisions.
yeah, but it's more like it isn't comfortable being with somebody that like feels that they have it all together, you know. Like I guess I don't know, I don't know how other people would feel about that comment, but at least for me it's just like it's almost like you've stopped an element of growth because you're just like, oh, I got it all together, dude, you know. And when someone believes that they have it all together, then they just look at the other person like a piece of garbage, basically, because they're like, oh, well, you don't have it together, dude. Like you're just stumbling through life or whatever.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. I'm more mature than you, as Corbin
Yeah,
would say.
I'm looking. Oh my God. He used to call us kids all the time. That was his thing. Okay, kids, or teenagers or whatever. He was always just barely older than us.
But I that comment was always funny to me because you would get furious with him. You'd be like, Corbin, you're like 3 years older than me. And he's like, and you'd be like, and in my opinion, you're a kid. Like you're still a kid.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so that's a good point. Like the looking down on each other. Like we've never done that, to my knowledge, ever, like about anything. Like we want to understand each other's point of view, and I think that's been a big key to our success.
Mm, yeah.
And we both realize that life isn't so simple. We're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. uh yeah.
It's
That
not so black and white.
yeah, it's definitely not. And but there's also another element that I think is very just particular to our friendship too, is like our our struggle with our own fathers,
Hmm.
which I think was a very strong bonding moment. Like we both grew up loving our mothers very, very much,
Hmm.
um, but we didn't necessarily feel the same about our fathers. Um, and it's interesting that we also both kind of worked through grappling with our relationships with our fathers.
Hmm.
Like we and it's strange because it's like you did it in your own way and then I did it in my own way, right? About like how to rekindle this relationship with our fathers. How do we start? Where do we start? Um, but also it's a big influence from our mothers, because I think your mom said something similar to what my mom had said. She would always say to me, she'd be like, well, your father's your father. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the way he is. Like, love him the way he is. And I think we were the two that really embraced that concept of like loving somebody the way they are, rather than trying to make them into something that they're not.
Yeah, what
Um,
we expect them to be.
yeah, what we expect them to be. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, the father thing is a great point that I haven't really thought too much about. It's like we both just figured that shit out on our own separately, and we came back together. We talked about it, and we were like, "Holy crap! How did you?" Because all of a sudden you had this great relationship with your dad, and you were going to California and seeing him and stuff. And I was like, "Wow, dude! Like, where did that come from? How did that happen?"
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great point.
yeah, yeah. I
We
mean,
both
for
did
me, it was
struggle with
like,
that and overcome it.
yeah. For me, it was like, I just had to. I think the label was just too distracting. Like, the label was just too consuming. Overall, too consuming for me. Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of father this, father that, and what a father should give and what a father should provide. But once I threw that away, that whole concept of father, I was actually able to have a relationship with my father.
Yep.
And
Started seeing him as a person, an
yeah,
individual.
yeah, I feel like that. I think that is the element that has also sustained our friendship too, right? Like, instead of seeing you as a best friend, right? Like, even though we acknowledge each other and we say best friends, but it's like we saw each other as persons first,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the obligations and duties of uh, the society constructed notion of best friend,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and I think that is where we place the priority. It's like, it's only then, when we saw each other as persons, that we were able to manifest a relationship as best friends that seems so natural and fluid, because all we really like doing is seeing each other as we want to be seen, or uh,
As we are.
as we are. Yeah, as we are. As we
I
are.
just love knowing what you're up to, man, and that you're okay and well. Also, I think another big thing is we've always been very open about our feelings, which
Mm,
I feel like a lot of people aren't really good at, like our struggles and everything, like with about the dad stuff, like a lot of people go through that and they just don't discuss it. And I feel like that was a big building thing for us because we helped each other kind of figure it out in our own minds. Like, just like, oh, wow, Javier's going through a similar thing. And like, I mean, if he can figure it out, I can, or whatever it may be. That's
mm,
not the exact instance, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about our struggles and it helps us individually work them out. Even if it's not together, we somehow help each other individually figure it out.
mm. Yeah, yeah. That, I think. Yeah, you're right. That element of openness is.
I mean, depression, things with our siblings, whatever it may be.
Mm.
Like, just talking about it helps us individually work things out. I think that's how we've helped each other a lot.
Yeah, and I think also, like, we weren't like, how do I put it? Like, we weren't like all knowing in terms of like the advice that we would give.
Hmm.
And I think even sometimes, like, we rarely gave advice. We were just,
This is what I would do, or this
yeah,
is what
yeah,
I'm thinking about that.
yeah, it's either like, this is what I would do, or sometimes, I mean, at least I know for me, when like I wouldn't have anything useful to say. Uh, I would just know that just me being there, just
Mm-hmm.
me being there would provide you the comfort. Like, it's so funny when I hear Juliana, she goes like, she'd be like, Javi, Collin would really love to have you here. You know, like it would make him so happy. Like he's so happy. Um, and it's kind of like this is that. It's kind of just like those things. Like even if you're going through something, like I don't need to have the answers necessarily to make you feel better. It's more like it's just knowing the fact that Javier's coming. It's just like you know.
It's that you're there and also that you listen, you know, even
Mm,
if you don't have any words of advice to give, it's that okay, he understands now what I'm going through. I kind of got it off my chest or whatever, you know. And that helps a lot too. And you don't always have to give each other the best advice ever.
mm,
Like you said, we were kids growing up together. Neither of us had more knowledge than the other one, except for maybe in some specific areas, but just listening to each other and always being there for each other's struggles, I think is,
yeah.
yeah, something that really built us up.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that the listening element, even though it's like it's so cliche, right? Like people always say this, like, oh, well, you need partners that are good and they listen and so on. But it's really true. I mean, it's really true. Like
Mm,
having that element of like just listening rather than constantly acting like as if I know your situation so well and so correctly, um, and so on. I think I think that's what really helped us like grow, ironically, right? Just like
hmm.
you would talk something to me and then you'd be like, you know what? I just realized something. You know?
Yep. Yeah, dude. I think we both have done that plenty of times, is where we just say it out loud to each other. That's all you really need. You just need somebody to listen to you. And yeah, that's what friends are for.
Yeah.
Good friends have that listening ear, man.
Hmm. Yeah. It's such a it feels like such a simple concept to say. Um, but I feel like for perhaps a lot of people that is hard to practice and hard to do. But but I also think for us it was like very natural. Like it was just to listen to you, to just be there. It was just like very natural. Um,
Hmm.
I wasn't like it, again that element of like no pressure. There's just no pressure. And I don't know how to explain the element of no pressure, but it's like which is just interesting because it's like this element of no pressure allowed us to be more accepted into our lives, more inviting in each other's lives. Um, that I think that that's what kind of like sustained a lot of it. Is just like, you know, I know he's gonna be there. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. Um, like when you moved, like you moved to so many states. I feel like, in my opinion, that uh, there was never a time where I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna see Collin again because he freaking moved to Oregon or Colorado or something crazy. Like, uh, I never thought that. Like, it just never crossed my mind. It was just like, cool. Like, I
All
guess I'll
right.
see him in Oregon. You
See
know?
them in a couple years or a year or
Yeah.
you know, if whenever I can. But that's okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Always knowing that there's just no pressure and that there wasn't any expectations, that you weren't ever trying to get a foot up at my disadvantage, you know, like we're it's just it was been full trust since like day one and we've never betrayed each other's trust really.
Yeah. But then there's also never felt like the pressure of like that trust either. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like that's like the strange part. It's like for example, when someone typically says, "Hey, I trust you," it feels so heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I could shatter this trust in any moment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's like when I say, "Oh, I trust Collin," it doesn't even feel like I am placing uh like a crazy burden on you when I say I trust you. Um, it's almost like as if I am saying I trust myself. It almost feels like that. Uh, I don't feel separated. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's like I don't necessarily feel separate from you. Um, which I know this sounds very,
Because it's just like not in, it's almost not in your character to do anything that would betray my trust because you know who I am, and just, vice versa. It's like, trying to think of an example, but it's kind of hard. Um, like, I never ever thought you would go for one of my girlfriends ever, like there was always that unspoken knowledge of like, Javier's my best friend. He would never do that. I don't even have to worry about that. Like he can go pick her up or he can go hang out with her without me or whatever it is, like same, yeah. It was just, it was always there, unspokenly.
yeah. I remember. Yeah, I remember you expressing that to me. You're like, I know that you would never like do anything uh like that. And yeah, because like I mean I think there is that element of like knowing each other's like personal philosophy, which is funny because it's like it's really unsaid, which is crazy because most of the time like it's never been explicitly said like, hey bro, don't go for my girlfriend.
So,
Like,
yeah, this whole conversation basically just came full circle on how if you were a girl, we would date because we're like the same person.
but like yeah, came from yeah, it did you go first full circle? But yeah, you're right. Like, um, I just it's I think it's because again, it's that priority, right? Like, I am prioritizing your happiness rather than my own. But it isn't something that I necessarily was like thinking about consciously. You know what I mean? Um, which perhaps maybe some people have to do. Um, but it was I think it's because the love that we have as best friends
Hmm.
is so genuine that uh, it's like I don't do those things because doing those things would be like tantamount to not loving you, right?
Hmm.
It would actually it's funny, right? I'm gonna bring this relationship full circle, right? It would be like cheating. It would be like cheating to
My
go
best
for your
friend.
girlfriend rather than for you.
Yeah, I would never cheat on you,
It
Javi.
would be like cheating. And I think that's a useful element, though. It's like you don't want to cheat on your friend uh, with his girlfriend.
Even if it's as petty as, taking something. I mean, people steal shit from people all the time. I never had any concerns of you doing that. Or, I don't know, talking shit behind my back. I never worried about that. Whatever. It's just, yeah,
Huh.
we've never had those problems really. And
Yeah.
if we ever did say something that we regretted or did something we regretted, I feel like we've always told each other about it because we felt like a guilt that we had to explain it to each other.
uh, yeah. I mean, I'm like really trying to think because I know people like like they'll talk crap about each other.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm really trying to think of a moment I ever if I ever if I'm trying to think of a moment I ever did that with you. And I really can't find an instance of like when I did that and not tell you, or um, I don't know. Like it's always been so honest from the beginning.
Hmm.
It just I think maybe that's the element that stops like talking behind people's back. It's like we've just been so honest from the beginning that I can't even think of a time that I ever did that. Like on,
Yeah.
and it's mind blowing me now because I do that with so many people at work, like there is specifically, people above me that I cannot stop talking crap about.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, dude. I mean, same here. I've never even thought about it. It's pretty great.
like my favorite moments were when you worked at Winn-Dixie
Oh God.
and made friends with John and all of them.
Yeah.
Those
That.
I those are like nostalgic moments because they're so funny, and we've even repeated the picture of like me laying across all your guys' laps.
Yep. Yep. So I think that's another good point is that like we've always shared our friend circles. Like every time I've met someone new, I wanted to introduce you to them. Like if you're in the area, like you said, Dukas and all of them, but also um, hanging out with Brian and his people and stuff like Gabe. It doesn't matter whoever it is. I'm like, shit, I want Javier here too, and like these people would like Javier because they like me.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is true because like oh man, it's interesting that you put it that way because like I feel the same way because I'm just like, yeah, they should meet Colin or so on, and um but I think that's like the element that a lot of people try to do in relationships where they try to like make a distinction like, okay, these are my friends and these are your friends. But we even did that with our family members, right? Like we would be like, come on, Corbin, like hang out with
Both of
us.
us like to mix people, bro. Like it doesn't matter their interest, doesn't matter what their background is. Let's all hang out.
I mean, I've hung out with so much strange people because of
Dude, I like the weird people, man.
like when we went to Juliana's New Year's Eve party. That was a trip.
Yeah,
That
dude.
was a trip, man. But that was
Yeah.
so fun.
See, that's a great example. Like I brought you to my girlfriend's family's New Year party, like because I knew you would get along with people there and stuff, and you were in town. I was like, man, I'd love to see him, and he would have a great time here, and he would mix great.
Yeah, the only time that I'm like maybe I shouldn't bring Colin is when I have like a very jealous friend, and I'm just like
Mm,
I can't I can't I can't introduce Colin when I have a jealous friend because it's just gonna be like a horrible time. Like the person's gonna be like so reserved and
yeah.
like, not being who they are because they're too busy being jealous right now uh, to really get to know you as you.
Hmm.
And I think that's like the element of jealousy that gets distracting is like they're too busy being jealous to actually experience the person and the individual. So I'm just like, so sometimes I'm just like, I can't, like I have to hang out with them separately because the one's jealous over the other.
They
But
wanted to
funny
mix,
enough,
yeah.
funny enough, typically the jealous relationships don't last,
Hmm.
right? They don't last. Uh, that's just been my experience.
Me
I,
too.
yeah, right. Yeah, you too, right?
I got some friends like that where like I need to be just their friend almost. And it's like, well, I know like it's actually more fun if we all get to know each other and hang out together and mix, like you guys hang out alone and we hang out alone and we all hang out together, why not? And I think both of us have been like that and to our core and we knew that.
I think you just said like our friendship motto. I think it has been implicit the entire time, but I think it's exactly what you just said. Like, why not? We have lived this. Why not? Like all the times that we've hung out with each other, it's just been like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, why not?
Why not? Let's try it.
No, let's just do it. Uh, so what? Let's play zombies all night. Why not? You know, when we're with each other, we don't have to give some kind of logical explanation for what we're doing, or we don't have to have like a specific mission to have fun. You
Hmm.
know, we can just. That's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't do, which is where like, oh, if I'm gonna hang out with you, like it has to be like this goal oriented thing where it's like we're gonna have to have
We're
fun.
going to this place at this time and we're meeting up with these people. Yeah, we've never been like that. It's like, yeah, come over if you want to. I'm free these times, like anytime between, 10 and 2, come over. Yeah.
Yeah, and
We'll
then
figure something out together. We'll go somewhere. Maybe we won't.
yeah, and then we'll just like it doesn't bother me if like we're just gonna watch TV, you're gonna show me a new show, or we're gonna go to a movie, or if Juliana just says, hey guys, I'm hungry, let's go somewhere. It's all why not. It's all the why not. Um, and I think we really like glorify that. Just
We
why
always
not,
end up
dude? Like,
having a good time, like no matter what it is.
mhm.
Going to the grocery store, we'll find something funny to laugh at, and like it will be a joke that will run for years. Like it's, I think that's been something that's like kind of just been a big thing for us is that we grew up doing the Pathfinder stuff where we went to all these events that like honestly we didn't want to do half of it as kids. I remember we were miserable, but looking back on it, like we had a great time and we always had all these crazy, funny stories from it, you know?
Dude, I hated Pathfinders so much with a passion, but like uh you being there made it so much more bearable.
Hmm.
But I still have like all these funny memories of like, oh my god, I'll never forget this because I think you were there. I'm not sure. It was during that phase where I was telling my mom, like, hey mom, I don't want to wear whitey tighties anymore. and and I remember going to one of the cabins and I was taking my clothes to go take a shower
Hmm.
and I had dropped my underwear. And I
Oh,
remember I got back and one of the guys was like, whose whitey tighties are these?
kids were ruthless back then.
Dude. They were so ruthless, bro. But I remember I was just like, oh, like I hate my mom because God, I've been telling her I need boxers, not whitey tighties. oh, oh
Dude,
man. But yeah,
those
I
campouts
just
were
hated
brutal.
I hated Pathfinders. But yeah, knowing that you're coming and gonna be there, um, those things always made it bearable and fun.
We
Like
always found things to entertain ourselves.
we definitely were the troublesome kids in
Yeah,
the Markham Woods Church.
yeah, yeah. They actually told me last time I went, they were like, "Yeah, we haven't had any kids as hard as your group, but it's been pretty good and mellow since then." We were doing like the flamethrowers with the bug spray and collapsing tents on people. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, I mean that was like, oh my gosh, that is like the crew right there. That's like Christian, Brian, that's all them people. Like
DJ, God,
I'm like, man, those people were praying hard. They were praying hard back then. They had to be because man, I know my mom was praying hard. Like,
they're like, where did we go wrong with our kids?
And
man.
like your dad was strict, my mom was strict. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, dude.
We were wild. Yeah, those are really connecting uh, moments about like just the fact of you being there. This makes it all bearable because you know me, dude. Like camping, that's not appealing to me
Yeah.
in the least.
Yeah.
But when you're like, hey, bro, like, uh, I'm going to Oregon and we're gonna do camping or whatever. I'm like, oh, but it's with Collin, so I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? Like it's not.
It could be a good time.
Yeah, it could be a good time. Like it's not something that I would do by myself, but it is
Hmm.
something that I'm like, okay, I don't mind doing that with Collin. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that. Uh,
Yep. Yeah, you've gotten me to try a lot of new things too. Mostly shows and games and music actually too.
oh, dude, that is. I was just thinking about this because I thought this was worth bringing up. Music. I think
Hmm.
that is something that even though my music taste has changed, but there is one part that's always consistent, which is that element of like hardcore, screamo, whatever music that you and I literally grew up on. That is like
Hmm.
so nostalgic and man,
Yeah, our group chat the other day with you guys in the morning, sending each other what was that band?
in Fear and Faith.
Fear of Faith. You and Corbin are like, this slaps.
I'm so happy he sent that picture because I immediately threw it on my car. I sent you guys the picture, and I
Yeah.
was like, dude, this still slaps. Like this is such a good song.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna listen to it, but I was already at work or something. So yeah, that's funny. It's a good reminiscing,
Mhm.
the music especially, man. I'll still listen to all that stuff from time to time and be like, wow, it sounds terrible, but I still like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
That
it's not as well produced or whatever, like certain songs and stuff. You'll be like, oh God, I used to love this song. And I thought it was amazing, and like it just sounds so like plain and not produced.
mhm. Yeah, like I get those moments when I listen to Attack Attack because
Oh
we freaking
God.
love that band. But
Yeah.
then when I like listen back to like some of like the very first songs, I'm like, that's
Yep.
bad, dude. I'm like, oh, but you know, the memories of that are freaking ace. Like,
Yes. Yes.
remember one day we bonded over just like looking up the old music videos that we used to watch.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
we were
yeah.
like, dude, look how bad this video is.
Because I don't even know if like we had flat screens back then, but I don't think we had flat screens back then. So the quality of the videos like on a big flat screen, you're like, "Oh my God, this is like 420i or some shit." Like it doesn't at all work with this TV. It looks like shit. It's all grainy. Sounds like shit. Probably came off LimeWire from 12 years ago.
Oh my gosh, dude. I remember downloading LimeWire and then my mom being convinced that I was like watching porn on the computer because of LimeWire.
Dude, you would unintentionally get porn by
Yeah.
downloading stuff off of LimeWire.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget like the funniest experience ever. I'll never forget because I died so hard laughing was when Demetria was like, I really want to show you this website. Uh, I found it. It's like hotmovies.com or something like that.
Oh boy.
And so she was really trying to show me all the new movies available on this website, but she typed it in wrong because I think it was called like some. like it had a similar name, but I think the domain was a little different. Like it wasn't .com, it was something else or whatever. Like I don't know what the domain was. And I remember like sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden just a whole gateway of porn opened.
Oh my god.
And Dimitri was like, no, this
No, I
this
swear
is
this
not.
isn't what it is.
I was like, you typed in hotmovies.com and you're gonna tell me like this isn't what you expected to get? And she's like, no, like I swear the title was the same. I was like, I don't know, but you typed it really wrong.
Oh man. Yeah. That happened all the time back in the day. And Real Player would pop up with some random shit. It'd be like somebody robbing somebody or a drug deal going on. Just a video. All kinds of crazy shit happened when you had LimeWire. I never did the free Fire Boobies. What was it? Firemovies.com.
Hotmovies.com.
Hot movies. I'm thinking fire over here. Yeah, I never did that one.
Oh man, I mean, so many. See, it's stuff like that though. Like we can tell each other a story like that, and we're also like very honest about our stories. Like I don't feel obligated. Like I've encountered some people, right? They have to like make up a story to feel some kind of attention or something like that, to get attention or anything like that. Because I've always like find that just odd to me. It's like when you be like find a friend that you realize that all of his stories aren't real and he's just like making them up, and you're like, it's like, bro, why are you lying to me about this? I don't understand. Like it's okay to
just be quiet sometimes.
Yeah, it's okay to have like an ordinary life. Like it's totally fine. I mean, ours is pretty ordinary, but I think what's funny is just like we take ordinary moments and we just like, do you see how stupid this is?
Yeah. Like, why did we do that? Or why did we say that? Or how, like, why was that? Why were we doing those things?
Because they were like very normal to us.
Yeah.
Like
we're good at making fun of ourselves for sure.
Like one vivid memory is in the car with Brian. I have two memories. I think it's at the same day with Brian. One was when we're listening to oh man,
Big Wiggly style.
Big Wiggly
Devil
style.
Wears the Prada. I remember what you're talking about.
Dude, he was blasting that thing, and like I still remember the beat, like da, 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 boom, like it would just go wild.
Yep.
Yeah. Da, da, da.
It was in his Hyundai Elantra or whatever, or was it it was an accent, because I remember this guy. He took us down to Howie in the Hills. I think that's the trip you're talking about. We drove out to Howie in the Hills, and he was driving like 110 down those like bumpy roads, like almost dirt roads. It was super dangerous and crazy. I can't believe we were doing that.
I can't believe it actually didn't hit me how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
When Brian was like, yeah, bro, I think you'd be like, hey, Brian, how fast you going? You'd be like, yeah, bro, I try to usually go about like 110. It didn't hit me like, wow, this is really dangerous, because it just takes one moment of like a sudden like turn like this at that speed and we're done for.
Yeah. We were all so young and dumb.
And my mom would have killed me. My mom would have killed me if she would have known the stuff that was going on then.
Oh yeah.
She would have killed me. But I think that's like the one element too, where it's like my mom was like, she's like, Colin's safe. He's good. He's good. He's not a wild kid, even though we did wild things. Not because of us, but it was just because of who we ended up encountering that was so wild.
Yeah, yeah. We would always like to hang out with those people and observe them.
Um, all right, I think we went over an hour, but I think that's good. I think we talked out a lot of the elements. You know, music. We had like a very natural openness.
Mhm.
This idea of like genuine love that we had for each other, where it's kind of like the genuine love is like a natural trust. It seems like it's
Mhm.
just a very natural trust, not a um, explicit trust, but it's just a natural trust. Maybe it's a sort of faith element, um, but it seems like it was just very natural for us, and we prioritized without explicitly saying our priorities towards each other. You know, which I can't say that would work for everybody, but it seems like it works for us, and maybe the secret is that too. Maybe it's like finding out what is it that works for other people. But for us, it seems like the unsaid was just like what worked best. You know, it wasn't something that always needed to be explicitly said. It was just like, yeah, he's gonna be there. I trust him. Like he's gonna be there. Like there's no worry, anxiety element about our friendship, which I always found beautiful.
Mhm. Me too, man.
Me too. uh,
Yeah. I mean, we've nailed a lot of it on the head. Like we didn't even really talk about it or think about it, but it just kind of happened the way it did.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and like I still don't, I still wouldn't know like how to repeat the process. Really, it would just be like I think the process happened because we began from a point of just like I'm gonna be as honest about who I am, and so are you. And it seems like this honesty and this openness that we began from the beginning, as small as we were, as maybe stupid and naive as we always kept that same position. Um, and even though all the content has changed, what we like, our interests, um, some of it stayed the same, but for the most part, a lot of things have changed. The content
Mhm.
can change, but it's our position that ultimately stayed the same, which is just this open space to be there, to not be there.
Mhm.
And here we are. Like, how long? How long has it really been? Like, are we
All right,
approaching
dude. If we want
years?
to think about it, it's definitely been over 20 years. Now it might have been 23. 23 or 24. I don't know if we were 4 or 5 when we met each other. You were tiny, bro. You were so small with your black glasses, same kind of glasses you have now. And I mean, yeah, we were in the children's Sabbath school class, so
Oh man,
it's been a very
it's funny
long
that you
time.
say that I was tiny. I know that part never changed. I've always been tiny, and you were like a freaking monster, bro. Like so tall.
I've
It was
always
such
been a giant.
it was a relationship meant to be, man. It was just like the funniest relationship to have. A really short Hispanic dude and just a really tall Polish man, handsome.
Oh, thanks.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, man.
Okay.
Just always be true to your people, and I guess the compliments and the just talk through things, and like we were saying, you don't always have to have an answer. Sometimes it's just good to be there and listen.
Mhm.
And not everybody's the best at that, from my experience. And sometimes people expect things from you, and they end up falling off because they always have these unrealistic expectations. But the friendships that seem to last, in my experience, are the ones that don't expect anything, and they just kind of You just both know you're going to be there for each other whenever you need it.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think the put the expectation is that uh, what I expect you to be is I expect you to be Collin, uh,
Yeah.
and that means, but it's not a static Collin. It's a Collin that's gonna be who he wants to be, or be who he thinks he wants to be, or whatever the case may be. Because we've all gone through these changes where I thought I wanted to be this, you thought you wanted to be something else, and the expectation was just always whatever Rivera wants to be, whatever Rivera wants to become. That's my expectation. And
Hmm.
so it's this always fluid expectation rather than being like, I expect Rivera to be this way rather than not be this way. Uh,
Yeah. And like, we don't have to talk about one particular thing. Like we were saying, even if it's not interesting to us, it's like I like to learn from what you're learning about, and vice versa.
mhm. Yeah. like, like I know when you're disinterested in some of the things that I talk about. And, but it's that element of like, of being there, uh, of being there. So, cause like RuneScape. I think about RuneScape all the time. Like, oh my gosh, you love that game, man. You love RuneScape. It's like super nostalgic for you, but it's always been one of those games. I'm like, dude,
Dude, even back when it was like new, you hated it. You were like, this is stupid.
yeah, dude. Like I was like, man, this is tough, but I still have memorable moments with you uh, concerning RuneScape. Like
Hmm.
especially when you had like the Dragon's Claw or whatever,
Oh
and
my
then like
gosh, yeah.
you showed me like you were like messing up people in like the village or no the forest or whatever. You're like, bro, watch this, and you destroyed them.
The wilderness.
Uh, but I think that's like a really good point to make. It's like even though I didn't overall enjoy the game, I enjoyed you enjoying the game and watching you destroy people on that game. uh,
Yeah.
so I think that is.
Yeah, you end up enjoying the moments that you create around the things that whatever you like, I like.
Mm,
And you gotta do both. Just
mhm,
do a little bit of both.
mhm.
It never hurts you. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? I think that is one of the key things too. Is like we push each other to try something.
Hmm.
I remember you like, bro, just try it. If you don't like it, fine. Like, but just try it. You might like it. Um, I think that experimental relationship that we always had has been really like fun and like healthy for the both of us because I think if we were just like by ourselves, I wouldn't be interested in uh, ever considering RuneScape or ever considering stocks or something like that. But
Hmm.
there's been moments like when you tell me about these things, and when you tell me your experience about those things, where I'm like, huh, that's interesting. Like it makes me interested enough to like want to try it myself,
Hmm.
want to experience it myself.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that experimental side of both of us, where we listen to each other and we're like, hey, bro, just check out this band or, check out this song or this game or this website or this app. Um, if you like it, cool. But if you don't like it, cool. But if you like it, come play with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that, yeah, I think that explains it. So, all right, I'm gonna cut it off now,
All
officially.
right, Javi.
So I'm glad for everybody that stayed and watched. I hope that it was beneficial for anybody that wanted to know like how you maybe sustain a long relationship or a long friendship, whatever the case may be. Some of the elements that we talked about, and so on. So Other than that, I think we'll be ending it. So,
All right.
Colin, just stay. I'm gonna end it, and then we'll yeah. All right.
Sweet.
So, take care, guys.
Bye.